And welcome back to Iron Sports. Now, after two failed attempts to host the annual general meeting and presidential elections, voting in August and September, the Jamaica Cycling Federation looks set to host their AGM this weekend at the offices of the Jamaica Olympic Association. This as the CEO of the private sector organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, Dennis Chung, who took over leadership from the former cycling head Kirk Finnegan on an interim basis in June, will be seeking his own mandate from the membership of the JCF. Now, in the absence of the interim president, Mr. Chung, we're now joined by the interim national head coach, Carlton Simmons. Of course, our producers, they were unable to reach Dennis Chung in the past 2 days. All right, Carlton, welcome to Iron Sports.
Thanks for having me.
No stranger to this set either. What's happening in cycling? We know this weekend we have the elections, but we're hearing rumors of all kinds. Are things settled?
Right, no, it's not. What you had was an interim board, as you said, that came in to help to reorganize and restructure. But what is happening is that we have people on the board that is removing themselves. Mm-hmm. So right now, I'm not too sure what's going to happen after Sunday.
Yeah. And when you say removing themselves, Dennis Chung, he's the interim president. We'd expect that he'll be seeking his own mandate and going up for the presidency on an official basis. Is this certain that he will be running come this weekend?
I'm not too sure. I mean, I can't speak to his headspace right now, but I know there's the AGM this weekend for sure. So, I've not learned of any new slate or him putting back himself up for the position. So I myself is in the dark as well.
But as far as you know, he's still interim?
He still is.
Where you are concerned now, you're of course the interim head coach. How have things been since you took over that particular post?
I mean, for me, it has been going smooth. I mean, things that were set out to be done, I mean, some of those things were achieved. One was, attending the Pan American Track Championships, which we did. Which went pretty well for Marlowe. He actually qualified himself for the upcoming CAC Games next year, and also gained some very important points to qualify him for the UCI World Cups, which is the beginning of his Olympic bid. So that went well.
Yeah. I'll be getting back to Marlowe, because certainly you are also his personal coach. But in terms of the youngsters coming up, there's one youngster in particular. His name eludes me at the moment, but he's from Portmore, I believe.
I think you might be talking about young Brandon.
Yes, and he's seen as one for the future. Looking at, are there others as well who you would have seen, who you can pinpoint and say, well, they look capable of following in the footsteps of someone like Marlowe? I
mean, yes, you have. I can speak to not just Brandon, but you have Thomas Thompson out of Portland, which is a young prospect as well. You have Andrew. What's Andrew's last name? He's also from Portmore. Another young under 23. You have young Daniel Palmer as well, who is an under 23, which are bright prospect that can help to carry the sport.
What of the females involved? Because usually there are one or two, sometimes none, but there's always a move to try and get the females involved. How is that looking?
Well, I mean, that has been one of the mandate of the interim board as well, to see how best we could get more youngsters, male and female, attracted to the sport of cycling. That is something that has to be ongoing, because presently we just have one female that is representing the country. So that is an area that will need a whole lot of development. Yeah.
Another area that much focus has been on in the recent past is a new velodrome for the sport and for the riders. But with the federation looking a bit unsettled, how close are we to getting that velodrome, getting the venue to place the velodrome and so on?
I think the venue has been earmarked by Independence Park Limited, but they thing is that they're waiting on the federation to present them with a drawing for the facility.
But everybody's absent, so.
Well, that's the challenge that we have,
Yeah.
without a functioning board. All of these things will be a challenge for the sport. And where the sport is now, we definitely need a new facility. Because one of the challenges that we have, when we have major competitions internationally, it always tends to fall in the middle of football and track and field.
Right.
And once that happens, we can't have access to the stadium.
Right.
So it hampers us how we train in terms of doing a lot of motor-pacing work.
Yeah.
It was a challenge even for Marlow when we were preparing for the Pan American Championships.
And even the present velodrome that we have in place at the National Arena is obsolete pretty
It's
much.
antiquated.
Yeah.
Because what you have now is 250 meters, 45-degree banking, which is world standard. Below that, it goes down to like a 333 meters with like a 38-degree banking. If we can get a facility like that, it would help a lot, because what it will enable us to do is to invite international people to come down and race and train. Because if we look at the whole aspect of sports tourism, I mean, during the winter, we could attract cyclists from Europe to come to Jamaica to train. I mean, Trinidad has just gotten a 250 indoor track.
Yeah, I was about to get to that too.
Which is one of the best track in the region.
Yeah.
And they are looking at that aspect. I mean, Jamaica is very central. So if it is that we can get a velodrome of that standard, not necessarily a wooden track, just as if what they have, because that's very expensive to maintain.
Right.
But a concrete structure where we can host international events on, it would do wonders for the sport.
Yeah, because as it stands now, we would be behind the likes of Trinidad, even here in the Caribbean.
Way behind.
Let's look further ahead now. The Olympics coming up in 2020. We haven't had a cyclist at the Olympics, I believe, since 2008.
No, we had in 2012. We had Ricardo Lynch in London.
Ricardo Lynch was there, right. Marlow's own ambitions to get to Tokyo 2020, how are those looking?
The prospect for him is very bright. I mean, where he's at now in terms of his own development, he's knocking on the door. But the challenge that we are going to have is the finances. And without a stable board to help to grace some of those funds, it is going to be a challenge for him. Because one of the things is, where the qualifying events are is very far. I mean, for this round of the UCI qualification events for the World Championships next year, the first leg is going to be in Poland. The next leg is going to be in Manchester. The third leg is Canada. So you're looking at big numbers in terms of getting the athlete to these events.
Right.
So it's going to be a challenge for us.
So then it comes right back around to this weekend's AGM.
It does.
Where a lot hangs on the AGM actually happening, because it has been postponed twice. So just how important is it that the elections are indeed held this weekend, so that there can be some amount of stability in the near future?
I mean, it's going to be important, because corporate will not associate itself with unstableness. And the sport can't go forward without some direction at the head. So it's going to be very important this weekend that we at least put a board in place.
Do you know of any of the candidates who will be going up for the presidency this weekend?
I am not sure if there's a slate or slates out there for this weekend. I'm not sure. I mean, I was away in Trinidad with Marlow, so I'm not sure.
All right. And before we go, I have to put you on the spot. Your own ambitions to be at the helm at the JCF, even in the near future.
I mean, it's something that I'll be looking at serious, because I think the sport needs someone who understands the sport and what it requires to drive the sport. And I think that is one of the things that's lacking right now. People who are putting themselves up does not understand the sport and what is required. And for me, being around it's not rocket science. Because the Constitution speaks to what is required, how the executive should operate.
Right.
So if one understands that, the rest to fall in place is very simple.
So we could very look to see you on your bike heading to the very top in the Federation in the near future.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. All right, Carlton Simmons, interim national cycling head coach, thank you so very much for joining us here on Iron Sports. Certainly we'll be following up this weekend to see how that much anticipated AGM goes. Thank you, dear sir. Right then, we take a break here on Iron Sports, and when we come back, we'll be heading to the ring. Stay tuned.